Hello, everyone. My name is Myanji, and I am the creator of Reay on WEBTOON.
Everyone, I'm Sunstar. I'm her editor, joining her for this one.
Yay! I'm sorry if we're a little awkward. I think this is the first time we've ever done this before, but I'm excited. Sounds fun.
So am I.
So I think for this, we just wanted to talk about Reay and go over the characters and the story. So I think first we're going to talk about the genre, right?
Yep, just kind of an overview. This is a romance story, but we're definitely taking more on the adult side as we're doing very mature themes, dark ones, and I do think we should do a disclaimer that while all the characters definitely love and respect each other, this is not the definition of a healthy relationship.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say the whole comic is not for kids. It has a warning on WEBTOON, doesn't it?
Yes, I believe we put that on there, and there's good reason. I think, if I remember correctly, the first panel that you open up on is one of the characters dragging their bloody hands across the wall, so I think that sets the tone pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. I would say because there's demons in it, it goes into more of the supernatural also. There's also like a little bit of a fantasy spin on it.
Yep. There's definitely, as if you've read any of the chapters, the demons can use magic, so there's definitely a magic system in the world. We're not going to explain that yet because that'd be spoilers, but it's pretty obvious that all the demons are using magic throughout most of the chapters.
Yeah, so let's see. Maybe now we can go into the characters. So first off, that would be Sho.
Her favorite, so all on you.
Yeah, so Sho is the main character of my comic. He is my absolute favorite. I feel like I put a bit of myself into him, like even starting off with him being afraid of spiders, because I feel like I unconsciously gave him that fear. But yeah, he can be feisty when he wants to be.
No, definitely. While he technically takes a lot of damsel in distress in a lot of these chapters, it's more due to the factor of, hey, they're messing with supernatural demons than, hey, Sho can't take care of himself. I mean, that is why we put in the little demon fight where he can squish the smaller demons and is pretty smart. Just when you're dealing with something that's a lot stronger that wants to kill you, that you know nothing about, it kind of puts you in the damsel in distress role a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like when I designed his character, I wanted him to be like he could help himself when he could, you know. He's definitely out there, you know. He's the type of character that will save himself.
Oh, no, definitely. Like I said, it's just the situation that we're putting him in.
Yeah.
He's definitely driving the story. His whole motivation throughout all this is to get his boyfriend Soma back, which we will talk about in a minute. But he definitely is not a naive character. He is doubting everything the demons are telling him this entire time for good reason.
Yeah. Speaking of the character, Sho, his whole motivation in the comic is trying to rescue his boyfriend, who is Soma.
Yes. And Soma is kind of Sho's rock, and while you get a little bit of his personality in the first chapter and then a little bit more towards the middle of what we currently have posted, he is right now being possessed by demons, so his body is kind of being puppeted around. So while we're getting kind of tastes with his personality on the start, and you can definitely tell they really care about each other, the demons aren't exactly letting him talk most of the time.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the whole situation right now is pretty awful when you look at it from Soma's perspective.
And that goes back to our mature themes, because we did try to show that when he did get the body back for a while, just how stressed he was, because they're both terrified for each other, because Sho watched him get possessed and is dealing with these demons who very obviously don't like humans and are very disrespectful to both of them. And Soma is having them in his head, so while maybe he doesn't quite know everything going on, he literally is exposed to the demons all the time and probably even has a worse view of them.
Yeah.
Because they're putting Sho in danger all the time.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing about Sho and Soma. Soma cares just as much about Sho as Sho does him.
And their whole relationship, like, there's a reason that both of them are sticking through this. I think most people, if they had like a brand new boyfriend a month and found out they were possessed, would go head for the hills. But these two are not only childhood friends, but they've been in love for a long time. And that's where the little bit probably of an unhealthy, we won't go into too much, but like, they are ride or die for each other in sometimes a literal sense.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we'll see a lot more of that in the coming chapters.
So those are human characters that we see all the time. So on to our first demon character, the one who opens the comic, Reay.
Yes, Reay. So Reay is he's already been introduced as a king of hell. So we know he is royalty. He's a bit of a snob.
That definitely comes across. And well, I mean, we got Yuto's explanation in chapter 8 and with his wonderful visuals of everyone. And so both him and his brother are technically royalty, though Reay is definitely the king and he knows it.
Yeah, so I feel like out of all of the demons that we've seen so far in the comic, I would say Reay came off as probably the most intimidating so far.
Oh no, definitely. And well, Yuto his brother has hinted a little bit about how the other demons feel. Reay has definitely been the most aggressive at trying to get everything done and get Sho to just do what he wants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like that's understandable. You know, he's the leader in this little group.
Yeah, and as was kind of shown by the fact that he was the first one, as well as the one who was most often interacting with a lot in the intro, he is definitely one of the stronger ones too. So between being a king and being pretty strong, he feels a lot of responsibility for the other demons that are with him.
Yeah, definitely.
Now that we've done Reay and kind of gotten into his a little bit, without hopefully spoiling, we'll go on to his brother, Yuto.
Yeah, so Yuto. I actually really like Yuto. I designed his character. I remember it took me kind of a while to go through it. I reworked on his hair and over again. It won't be seen in the comic just yet, but just know I took my time with him.
Yes, all of the demon designs are waiting in the wings to be revealed, but at the moment we're stuck with everybody in Soma's body.
Yeah, and you know, Soma's not a bad visual either, but it would be nice to have some faces to a name.
It's always fun too, hence the fantasy one, when you kind of stretch the reality of how people look, because they're demons. Why would their physiology work like human physiology works?
Yeah, true. Yeah, he's definitely someone that Sho does not trust right now. I mean, he doesn't trust any of the demons, but yeah.
It's a little bit of a slick where I think Sho would put him almost in the like snake oil salesman role, where like he's technically sounds good and is technically trying to help him, but you can tell that he has his own agenda, and he's very charismatic and is probably one of the more helpful demons.
Oh yeah, following that. I hope these demons come off as not too romanticized in the beginning, because we did see Yuto like show that he was a demon. He killed someone right in front of Sho. Yeah, they are not friendly.
Well, that was a goal of ours too, and again, back to that adult rating, because both of us are fans of romance comics as well as fantasy and things like that, but we both agreed when we were going over this story that we wanted it to be not one of those romanticized, like, oh, he's a demon, but like when he fell in love, then he became really soft and pretty much a human just with supernatural abilities. No, these are demons with demon sensibilities. So while they can kind of mimic humans to get what they want, they have a whole different set of rules and would definitely be on the more morally evil to morally gray side if it was by human standards. Like for demons, we won't get into where they're actually ranked in the story, but like they're not humans and like they don't really regard human life. We didn't want people to forget that they're dangerous demons.
Yeah, human morality definitely doesn't apply to them. I guess, okay, the next one after Yuto would probably be the twins. So we have Yuko and Koyu. They've already been introduced. Their names are already out there.
More defined. We did want to make sure with these two characters that you could tell them apart. It's just that their ability is tied to each other. So that's why we had them share the body for this whole thing and kind of flip between. Also playing a little bit on that whole twin thing of like, well, who's who?
Yeah, common twin trope. We just kind of threw that in there a little bit.
We definitely spent a good 2+ hours on each of these characters just while we were going through this story, actually flushing them out, making sure they're more than their stereotype. But there's always fun little elements that are still nice to keep. So we're looking forward to exploring all the characters more later, but gotta have fun little things as well.
Yeah, we went over them for a long time. This progressed. This wasn't just one day we got over all of these characters. No, this took weeks to do.
Oh yes, because as Miyanji said, this was not at all quick. We had a rough idea for the story at first. We knew that Sho was always going to be the main character and whatnot, but Miyanji definitely had a lot of time working on all the designs till she liked them. I will say all of the art is hers. I love helping her with the story, but it would be very sad if I tried to help with the artwork at all. But we both had a rough idea of where we wanted the characters and story to go, and it was just spending several hours. We spent 2 or 3 hours just on each of these main characters, actually flushing them out, their backstory, their motivation, their likes and dislikes. And things have changed and shifted a little bit, but definitely we realized at first, especially with the twins, they were very flat until we actually figured out their motivations, backstories, and a little bit more how to differentiate them.
Yeah, that's true. During this whole time, we even went really in depth, their character archetypes, their birthdays.
Likes and dislikes, their biggest fears, their biggest desires, all of that.
Yeah, and you're right. The twins did feel pretty flat. I feel like in comparison, we were really focusing on Sho and Soma, and then Reay and Yuto. We kind of put them to the side for the longest time.
No, definitely. And the next two characters we're talking about had pretty strong defining traits as well. So while we flushed them out, I feel like the twins came the most to light after we finally spent some time actually talking about them and not just going, oh, they're the twins and they're the kind of funny psychopaths.
Yeah, they're definitely going to play a more comedic role the more we get to know them. I won't go too much into that, but yeah, I'm really excited for them to be introduced into the story more, especially the next two characters we're going to be talking about.
Yes.
Which, leading into that, our next appearance was Naro.
Who will probably be a bit of a fan favorite thanks to his familiar.
Yeah, Rilu! Oh, man, I love Rilu. I've had people comment about Rilu, even people that have read my comic. I've heard, oh, I like the weird demon fox dog.
He's definitely going to be, I think, just a fan favorite and a symbol of the series in a sense, because he is iconic.
Right? I feel like a lot of series have that one animal sidekick, and I feel like Rilu's
He's the mascot.
Yeah, he's really playing that part.
No, and as was kind of touched in the chapters, Rilu has a very strong connection to Naro. In fact, he's only there because of that connection to Naro. That's how he was able to be summoned, and once Naro gained enough energy, that's why Rilu could be summoned. So Naro's kind of more of the quiet type, so that's why the funny thing is his familiar is almost the one that's more expressive and kind of moving the plot so far.
Yeah, that's true. Rilu really likes Sho. I feel like out of all of them, Sho is the one that's constantly holding Rilu or is next to Rilu. It's actually kind of cool. I feel like rather than Naro's familiar, this is Sho's little sidekick,
No, definitely. And on the story, that's a little bit of a point of the confusion for the demons as well, because none of them like this random human that broke in and messed up their whole plan and put them in more danger half the time. But for some reason, Naro's familiar, who's usually pretty suspicious, absolutely loves him.
Yeah. So probably more on that in the coming chapter. But yeah, I like Naro's character design. I keep saying this, I can't wait for them to be revealed, but with Naro, I have like specific scenes, I have specific expressions and he's not that expressive. That's the thing.
No, he's not, but I will say one of my favorite artworks that you've shown me is him with his familiar, really. So I'm looking forward to when you can show that one.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's just I'm really excited for the chapters to come. Naro, he isn't expressive, but I feel like out of all of the demons we've seen so far, he has probably been the most not nice, but probably the most understanding. We haven't seen much of him, but he was quick to get Sho to safety in the last chapter.
Yeah, and what comes across there is just Naro has a very grounded personality, especially with all the demons have very, very strong ones. He's probably the one that's, I'd say, the calmest with all the chaos. And I feel like that comes across because while he's definitely like trying to help and protect all the other demons there as well, they all have a very strong bond. He's not pushing the same way that the twins, Yuto and Reay, were all demanding.
Yeah. Naro, yeah, he really prioritized. I feel like in the moment he was able to think, like he knew that Sho needed his own protection, thus asking Rilu to give him the fang.
Yeah, no, there's probably, when you put it that way, there's a lot less bias, because you can definitely feel kind of the disdain or look down on that the other demons have of, oh, they're human. Where Naro's kind of like, okay, he's human, but he's holding our hearts, and we need those, so we're going to focus on getting him to safety. Like, there's less bias clouding his judgment, I think.
Yeah. So after Naro...
My favorite, the one who's not been touched on at all, so I can't really talk about him. Reay, the only thing that we've really talked about in the comic with him is just how he despises humans, and just the little bits you can tell his disdain for this whole situation, so he is avoiding Sho at all interacting, because he logically knows that they need their hearts back, but he cannot get over that disdain. I gotta stop before I spoil something.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about him. So, Reay. This is a character that I feel like became more than what we ever expected. He started off as like this baseline character with this kind of like how did you call it? Like common archetype, And then we took him.
Fully take credit for this. Like I said, he's my favorite. I ran, and I will say I won't spoil, but most of the pain in the comic is my fault. So poor Reay.
Yeah, that's something I do want to credit Sunstar with, is the fact that she has put these characters through so much, but I can't get into it.
I am an avid reader. And the biggest thing for me is having characters drive the plot, so I want to make sure they have good motivations. And that means they get hurt sometimes, and if this was real life, I would hate that, but since it's a story, it makes a good story.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it. You really helped flesh them out. I feel like when I had these characters, if I was in charge of them alone, they probably would have been really bland. I think you helped me mold them into what they are now today, and they're really likable. Like I love this.
Like I said, I'm glad. I love helping you flesh them out. I love doing the story and then leaving all the artwork and writing to you. And then I can help you review it.
Yeah, Reay. Like Sunstar said, he is a character that despises humans. We haven't seen anything of him so far in the comic. He is just, he's very, I don't even know how to say it without like spoiling anything.
I think the thing that we can say without spoiling is the arrogant demon stereotype would probably fit him very well, and you get that in the sense that he is refusing to interact with Sho or Soma at all.
Yeah, but when we catch him later on in the chapters, who knows? I would laugh. I would laugh so hard if he became like one of the most popular characters.
Probably gonna take a while for that to happen, but I'd be pretty happy. I'd love to have my favorite at the top.
Yeah. Ooh, you know what? I would really love to like once I start posting chapters, once the hiatus ends, I should say, I would really love to like do like a fan poll.
Yeah, we should do that maybe with the Q&A too, because we would both love to do a Q&A as well.
Yeah, like every so often, like especially like when the characters, when we dive more into their backstories and stuff, I would love to have a poll up there like popular character and just see how it moves.
Oh, and definitely when we finish the series, if anybody wants an explanation about how the whole world works, we have broken that down, and we believe it, but we've gone over it enough that maybe we've both driven ourselves a little crazy, but we think it's fun.
Yeah. There was such like care taken into even like how the magic system works, demons' powers, individual powers. The world building really took a long time.
Yes, just different factions and why they're in conflict, difference in their cultures and how that affected the characters, things like that. Of course, most of this isn't really touched on in the main story, and we can't spoil anything, so we're not going to go into that.
Yeah. Moving on, we are going to talk more about Sho and Soma's relationship, because they are, they're boyfriends in the comic.
Yeah, no, and we touched on that a little bit. That is the main driving factor for both of them. But it's also kind of the main driving factor for this conflict in this first section of the story, because as we've discussed before, the demons see Sho and Soma as nothing but obstacles right now, where Sho and Soma are just completely worried about each other's safety and refuse to leave the other alone or to get hurt. So right now, the only way for Sho to get Soma back is to get the demons to leave. But the only way for the demons to recover is to keep Soma and get Sho to give them what they need. So they're constantly just butting heads, trying to get the other to concede so that they can get what they want.
Yes, I couldn't have put it better. And we also got to see more of their relationship, especially like, before when Yuto gave him his body back, when he returned his body to him for just a little bit. But we saw Soma, and even then, even though he was in pain, smashing his head against the wall, his main concern was Sho.
And that's, again, where the realistic comes in. We were trying to show that he's not just being the strong one, he's panicking too.
Yeah.
And we weren't trying to sugarcoat the fact that this would be stressful and scary.
Yeah.
And on a lighter note, we were also trying to show a little bit of their dynamic even when the demons were possessing Soma. That Soma's the one who cooks. Sho had no idea, and neither did Reay, how to feed them for the first bit of the comic.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up. Yeah, so Soma is definitely, he takes on more of, well, not really the caretaker role, but he loves to cook for Sho. Sho, I think, growing up around Soma, he never exactly, like, it's not like for lack of trying. It's like, when he failed the first 2 times, it's more like, oh, you cook way better than me.
Yeah, no, and they both like taking care of each other, so Soma enjoys cooking for Sho, so that just dynamic worked for them, and since they've always been together, it hadn't really been a problem. There's little hints in the stories, too, about why that's such a big thing for Sho, and why they ended up being together all the time, but...
I mean, even now, actually, because when the acid demon that started coming in, Soma, without a doubt, like was quick to sacrifice himself. There was no doubt in his mind that he was okay with dying. He didn't know the outcome, but he just knew that he needed to do whatever he could to protect Sho.
Definitely, and as we've mentioned before, Sho repeatedly tries to protect Soma and puts himself in a situation where he gets hurt. And he's ready to ride or die as well, and close to death several times. And it's just their dynamic. And like I said, it wouldn't exactly, I think, be called healthy. I mean, you could argue that it's an extreme situation, but the lack of hesitation, I think, speaks for itself more than anything.
Oh, yeah. I remember I came to you with his design, and
I helped tweak it a little bit, just more feedback than any yes, you should change this color here to the 2 shades brighter. I'm not that editor.
Yeah, but I think it's thanks to you, like all the cover art that I've done with him, his appearances in the comic so far, I feel like they're a lot more refined thanks to your feedback.
What I'm here for.
Yeah, so Acid Demon, he's kind of like a wild ball, isn't he?
No, definitely. There's a calculating sense where he's not completely manic, where like you can still predict what he's doing, but you definitely get, I think, the strongest sense of what a demon is so far in the comic. Just powerful, commanding his minion, but also very calculating, cutthroat, and definitely sees humans as like less than bugs.
Yeah, he's feeding all these humans to his minions. And that scene when we saw the spider demon getting her eye torn out, he's laughing.
Yeah, and that's definitely, as we were talking about with our main band of villains, you can tell that they don't really have a sense of camaraderie or anything. Like, they're all working together because they all kind of want the same thing, and they're all pretty powerful in the demon realm, well, relatively. But they don't really, with very few exceptions, see each other as comrades. They're just kind of all working together, so it's kind of funny that somebody else failed for him.
Yeah. That's, again, I feel like that's going to be a theme that we're going to be seeing with these villain demons. With Acid Demon, there was this, like, I forgot what chapter it was on. I probably have that pulled up. But we have Acid Demon coming after both Sho and Soma. And, he, like you said, he is very calculating. He had his minion place a spell onto Soma, like having Sho as the carrier, just so, like, Reay and them could not appear in Soma's body, and it, like, made them weaker. It gave him an opportunity to attack.
Well, it made it so it was a human versus demon fight rather than a demon versus demon fight.
Yeah.
And that's definitely where I think the calculating side comes in, because while he does not respect or see humans as worth anything, he does also acknowledge that they can technically do things, even if it's just useful to him.
Yeah, definitely.
Where the minion definitely just kind of sees them as food.
Yeah.
That's the reason he's kept on a leash.
Yeah, the whole minion, his sole motivation is getting to eat Sho and Soma.
Oh, he enjoys the taste of human flesh, and he's going to have as much of it as possible while he's here. He is not a complicated character, and he's not meant to be.
Yeah. So after the Acid Demon, now we can get into the Ninja Demon. So Ninja Demon, he's a very new character. He barely came into the comic. But from what we can see, even now, I feel like we had like another power upgrade because they were facing off against Acid Demon, and now all of a sudden a new demon appears and he's way more powerful. Like, it seems he probably outranks Acid Demon just from what we've seen in the comic.
Oh, definitely. You kind of get a little bit of a structure, I feel like, for their organization, because you could argue that Acid Demon and Spider Demon were roughly on the same level, while Minion was definitely below both of them. But there's definitely a difference in how they're treated and just how they act for the Ninja Demon versus the other two.
Yeah. Yep. But, man, I feel like I don't have anything else to say about Ninja Demon that's not a spoiler.
No, I think that's it, and I think that's all we can say, is that anything we would say is a spoiler, so that says enough about him. But just powered scale-wise, I think is the only thing we say. He's definitely stronger than both the Acid and Spider Demon were.
Finally, we can get into...
Drum roll.
Drum roll, please. We can get into the main boss, head honcho, and that would be K.
And yes, the single letter is intentional. We're not being some mysterious thing about a revealed name. No, his name is K, and we're sticking with that.
Yeah.
There's actually story reasons for that, but that would be a major spoiler. So
yeah. So K, we have not seen anything of him except for a silhouette.
And voice.
And voice. So
no, and he is the main antagonist of the series. We can say that, and we're trying to build him, so hopefully that's coming across. But
yeah.
The only thing I think that I can say here that wouldn't be a spoiler is there is a good reason that he's coming after all our main characters, but the only one he technically really needs to go after is Reay, but he's going after everybody else because it's personal.
Yep. So, yeah, he is a character driven by hate. That is just what I will say here.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason that he's the leader of this evil, probably worst in the sense of scale for demons, demon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's kind of crazy looking at it because all of our previous villains that have been introduced all refer to him as like a new king of hell.
His Majesty K.
His Majesty K. And I don't think that's a spoiler because it's already written into the comic.
Yep.
So Reay has been overthrown, and that's kind of like what their story is centered on, is being overthrown, you know? Mm-hmm. So now looking at it, I can't wait till we get more into that, get more into this whole demon hierarchy, this royalty.
Yes. No, and that's definitely where, like I said, you kind of get just the straight goal where you can kind of see it on a, I guess, stereotypical level, I could say, is you had the king, he was overthrown by somebody else who wanted to be king. But there's a lot more factors in the demon world about why this is a whole big thing and why he's still chasing Reay, because it's not just like he overthrew him and congrats, everything was done. He still needs something from Reay, and it's still a very personal thing. It's not just, oh, I wanted a kingdom, so I picked Ray's. There's a reason that he's chasing Reay.
Yep. And, you know, his presence, even with these previous demons, they're scared of him. They're terrified of him, and they have every right to be.
No, and you can definitely tell with our main cast of characters who are possessing Soma, they hate him, but they also know that right now they can't fight him.
Yeah, and I feel like that also, you know, not even just feeling like it's just a fact that plays into why they're so hostile towards Sho and Soma. They're the obstacles that are preventing them from, you know, getting to their goal.
And that's another pressure too, because the added thing there is that for Sho and Soma, they keep having to watch each other get hurt, so that keeps like renewing their distrust in the demons. Whereas because they keep getting hurt, that's putting the demons in harm's way. They keep having to reset, but they keep being hunted, so they know that not only are they being hunted, but because of Sho and Soma, they're getting weaker and not, at very least, not healing as fast as they should be. So it's kind of building tension in them, making them snap more at the other two.
Yeah, the whole situation's just, it's not looking good.
The romance, we're trying to build a good romance, so besides Sho and Soma's wonderful fluffy thing at the start, it's gonna be a while for building everything.
Yeah. Something that I'm really looking forward to is just the ending of this first arc, because I believe that our current chapters are falling under, what was it, chapter 25, episode 25? Yeah. So
at the time of recording.
At the time of recording, Reita is on episode 25. So the first arc should end around episode 30. So
we have 3 main arcs with some kind of minor mini arcs that build some of them, but overall we have like 3 main arcs with the biggest switches and kind of character and story progression. So we're almost hitting the first part of this first main arc.
Yeah, and I think after when all of the characters actually are revealed and we see more of their personalities, we can come back on here and say so much more things.
Definitely, and I'm sure our lovely author is going to enjoy going into all of their character design because she had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, and even just like adding like little comics, little in-betweens, just behind the scenes of like character interactions, more comedic, more funny stuff. I would love to do just, you know, on the side though, not to take away from the seriousness of the situation.
Yes, we're definitely trying to do some balance between serious as well as a little bit of comedic ones. I've loved some of your little drawings for reactions to still have it so it's not a draining story where everything is always super heavy, but at the same time, like you said, not taking away from the topic or trivializing what they're going through.
Yeah. But man, I guess all I can say now is like I can't wait until like this hiatus is over and I can start posting again. I think the plan right now is to just kind of remain active on social media, and probably also build a buffer and send them to you. I haven't done that yet, but send them to you, and we can kind of work over the story and make it like kind of perfect it, refine it for when it actually gets published.
Yes. Just gotta love life going on in between all of that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yep. But yeah, I feel like we covered most of the stuff that we wanted to cover.
Yep. And we should probably wrap up here so we don't spoil anything, but that's kind of an overview of hopefully some of the more important points and just kind of the characters and where the story is at the moment.
Yeah. So this has been like a little webtoon talk and a meet my editor talk. So once again, I want to say I am Myanji, and I'm the owner of the comic, Reay on Webtoon. Please check it out if all of this talk interested you, or if you like BL or demon, supernatural, any of that stuff. Give it a read, please. Yeah.
It was then Sunstar, her editor, joining her. It was a lot of fun, and if anybody has any questions or would love to see us do this again, we both enjoyed this a lot, so hope you enjoy the comic.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you all again in the next video. Bye!
Bye!